Let's talk about a selling and administrative expense budget. This example problem says Fulton Company has the following data for the first 6 months of 2020. We're told that in quarter 1 we sell 15,000 units, in quarter 2 we sell 20,000 units. Then we have some variable costs per dollar of sales. So advertising will be 4% of our sales dollars. Sales commissions will be 3% and delivery expenses will be 2%. Then we have some fixed costs per quarter of sales salaries, depreciation, and utilities. And then we're told our unit selling price of $20. So we need to take that information and prepare a selling and administrative expense budget by quarters for the first 6 months of 2020. Now, before we can actually prepare this budget, we need to first figure out our sales in dollars for each of these quarters. So in quarter 1, we sold 15,000 units. Multiply that by the unit selling price. That tells us that we made $300,000 in sales in the first quarter. Quarter 2, we sold 20,000 units, so we had $400,000 in sales for quarter 2. So finding those two amounts now will allow us to determine our variable costs when we are actually preparing the budget. So we'll have all that information in the upper left, and this is what our selling and administrative expense budget will look like. So the first line is our budgeted sales in units. So in quarter 1, that's 15,000. In quarter 2, that's 20,000. Now we can move on to our variable expenses. So advertising is 4% of our sales dollars. So that's why we found that 300,000 and 400,000 earlier in the problem. So for quarter 1, we take 4% of 300,000. And for quarter 2, we take 4% of 400,000. And we get 12,000 in quarter 1 and 16,000 in quarter 2 for our advertising expense. Now we want to add those together to show that for the first 6 months of the year, we have $28,000 worth of advertising expenses. Now sales commissions, that's going to be 3% of our sales dollars. So we take 300,000 times 3% and 400,000 times 3%, and we get 9,000 and 12,000 as our sales commission amounts for the first 2 quarters. We add those together and we see that in the first 6 months, we'll have $21,000 in sales commissions. Now delivery expenses, those are going to be 2% of our sales dollars. So 300,000 times 0.02 and 400,000 times 0.02, which will give us 6,000 and 8,000 and 14,000 when you add those two together for the first 6 months of the year. So those are each of our individual variable expenses. Now the next line is our total variable. So we want to add up quarter 1's variable expenses, quarter 2's variable expenses, and then the 6-month column as well. So in quarter 1, we have $27,000 worth of variable expenses. Quarter 2 is $36,000. And in the first 6 months of the year, we're expecting $63,000 worth of variable expenses. Now we can move on to fixed expenses. So the first one listed here are sales salaries. And we're told that that's going to be $12,000 per quarter. So it's $12,000 in quarter 1, $12,000 in quarter 2. So when you add those two together, in the first 6 months of the year, you will have $24,000 worth of sales salaries. Depreciation is $5,000 per quarter, or $10,000 for the first 6 months. And utilities is $1,000 per quarter and $2,000 for the first 6 months. Now our total fixed expenses, we want to add up our sales salaries, depreciation, and utilities for each quarter. And we see that it's $18,000 in quarter 1, $18,000 in quarter 2, and $36,000 in the first 6 months. Now, our very bottom line of this budget shows our total selling and administrative expenses. So that's taking your total variable plus your total fixed. So for the first quarter, we'll take our $27,000 in our total variable expenses plus our $18,000 in our total fixed to show that we'll have $45,000 worth of selling and administrative expenses in quarter one. Now for quarter two, we take the $36,000 that we find under the total variable plus the $18,000 for the total fixed, and we have $54,000 in selling and administrative expenses for quarter two. And then for the first 6 months, we could take the $63,000 in our total variable plus our $36,000 in total fixed, or we can add up the total selling and administrative expenses for quarter one and quarter two, so the $45,000 and $54,000 that we just solved for. Either way, when you add those up, you will get $99,000 as your total selling and administrative expenses for the first 6 months.